Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are breaking down how to lead change that actually works. Look, if you're guiding a team through something new, or maybe you're getting ready for a big certification exam, you have to master change vision and strategy. So let's get right into the concepts that'll set you up for success.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll lay the foundation, what a change vision even is. Then, we'll look at what makes a vision powerful. After that, we'll build the bridge from that vision to a real-world strategy, talk about the people who make it happen, and finally, how to make sure the change actually sticks around.
All right, let's start at the beginning, the foundation. You know, any successful change, I don't care if it's a small team adjustment or a huge company-wide shift, it all begins with one thing, a clear vision. Without it, you're basically just asking everyone to follow you into a dark room.
So what exactly is a vision statement? Well, it is not just another task on your to-do list. The best way to think about it is like a North Star for your project. It's this bright, compelling picture of a better future that gets everybody fired up and moving in the same direction, especially when things get tough.
Now, you really want to pay attention to this one, because telling the difference between a vision and a goal, that's a classic exam question. A vision, that's the beautiful destination you see way off in the distance. It's what inspires you to even start the journey. A goal, that's just a signpost along the way, letting you know you've made progress. You absolutely need both, but they do very different jobs.
So knowing what a vision is, that's one thing. But what actually makes one, well, powerful? Let's break down the ingredients that really make it work. A truly strong vision stands on three legs. First, you've got the purpose. That's the why are we even doing this? Then come the benefits. That's the what's in it for us. And finally, you need the scope, which clearly states what we will and what we won't be doing. If any one of these is shaky, the whole thing can fall apart.
Think of this as your personal checklist. Your vision has to be inspiring, sure, but if it's not actually doable, it's just a nice daydream. It can be brilliant, but if it's loaded with confusing jargon, nobody's going to get on board. And maybe the most important check of all? It has to line up with the company's core mission and be aimed at solving the problems of tomorrow, not just fixing today's little annoyances.
So you've got your destination, your vision. Great, but how in the world do you get there? Well, that's where strategy comes in. It's the bridge that you have to build between the reality of today and that future you're aiming for. And step one is knowing exactly where you're starting from.
The first plank you lay for that bridge has to be a brutally honest, totally data-backed look at where you are right now. I mean, you can't map out a route to a new city if you don't know which one you're in, right?
A SWOT analysis is your best friend here. Why? Because it keeps you honest. It forces you to look at your internal weaknesses, not just your strengths, and the external threats, not just the exciting new opportunities. This 360-degree view is the only reliable place to start your journey.
And this is where data becomes your proof. It gives you a baseline nobody can argue with. Take the Gilson Company, for example. This one simple chart made the problem painfully obvious. Customer satisfaction had nosedived to 62%. Now that gets people motivated for a change.
Okay, so once you've gotten a clear-eyed view of where you are, the focus has to shift. Now it's time to paint a really vivid picture of the future state. What does success actually look like when this is all said and done?
And right here, this is the magic moment where your vision turns into a strategy. See, better customer service, that's a nice feeling. But an 8% improvement in customer satisfaction, that's a target. The first one is vague. The second is something your team can actually build a plan around and execute.
But of course, a great plan is just a piece of paper without the people who have to bring it to life. This is where we talk about the real engine of change, your team, and the way you lead them through it.
Getting people on board, especially the ones most affected by the change, is make or break. And if you're prepping for a certification, you'll want to remember this slide. You empower people by getting them involved right from the start, by genuinely listening to their concerns, giving them a real voice in decisions, and providing all the training and support they need to feel confident.
Your leadership style is a huge factor here too. A top-down, autocratic style might be necessary in a full-blown crisis, like the auto emissions scandal example, where you need fast, decisive action now. But for pretty much every other kind of change, a more collaborative, democratic style is going to be way better for building the engagement you need to succeed.
And that brings us to the finish line.
But here's a little secret. Just implementing the change isn't the end of the race. The real win is making sure it lasts.
Okay, this is a term you absolutely have to know. The rubber band effect. It's this natural human tendency for a group or a system to just snap right back to what's comfortable and what they've always known. If you don't keep applying pressure, your change will just vanish.
So how do you fight that snapback? Well, you can't just launch the change and then walk away. You have to build a whole support system for it. That means ongoing training, a way to monitor performance so you can spot when things are slipping, and just relentless communication to keep reminding everyone why you made this change in the first place.
And this, right here, is the final, most important question every leader has to ask. Because, look, getting a change implemented is one thing, but making it a permanent part of how you operate, that is what truly defines success. A change that doesn't last is, in the end, a change that failed.